Am I the a-hole for not telling my wife my cousin is insanely wealthy? I am 31M. My wife is 34F. My cousin is 33F. Her husband is 35M. My cousin and her husband own a fairly large farm, and that is my cousin's pride and joy. Not one single person was surprised when she bought it. Her husband is a pipe welder and makes good money as well. My cousin and her husband are well known in the community and very well respected. They do a lot for the community. With all that said, when she was in her early 20s, she won a F-ton of money. I'm talking foo kind of money. At the moment, she has made it so all of the kids, including any children I may have in the family, will be able to go to college, and she paid for her siblings' educations. She has used it for the community, but what she's done with it didn't even make a dent in it. My cousin is insanely wealthy. Her place is paid off, and her husband's income along with the farm income pays for pretty much everything, so the money she won isn't really touched much other than for her charity work, and if they need some sort of specialized equipment. They do have a very nice home, but if you saw them just out and about, you wouldn't know it at all. They look very normal. She drives a Bronco her husband gifted her when she had her most recent baby, or the farm truck that looks like it's been to hell a few times. My wife and I have been together for 3 years and married for 1.5 years. My wife is a nurse practitioner, and she is in a specialty field, so she makes very good money, and I work in aviation. I make about the same as she does. We are well off compared to most people in our area, but we aren't even close to what my cousin is. She would have been making well over what we make just in our farm and her husband's job, and the other just makes it insane. My wife is very prideful. She likes to make sure everyone knows she made it. She has a very nice car and likes to bring up how much she makes in nearly every conversation. She always wants the best of the best, and I try to give her that. 99% of my family cannot stand my wife, but they are too nice to say anything, and I love her, so they just deal with it. Recently, another one of my cousins got married, and she got married at my rich cousin's house. They have a huge barn and a nice pond, so they basically cleaned out the barn for the wedding. It was beautiful. That was the first and only time my wife has been to my cousin's house. She always thought my cousin just had a little hobby farm, and for some reason, she thought they were poor. I didn't know she thought they were poor. Most of our vegetables, meat, and eggs come from my cousin, but I normally get it from her myself. Anyway, now my wife is pissed that I embarrassed her, and I should have told her that my cousin was rich. I didn't really think about something like that. I just assumed she knew because she's from here. It's not like it was a secret. My cousin paid for all of the upgrades to the school and matched the donations for the community to build a park. There is a huge banner on the park fence for her husband's business and her farm along with all of the other businesses that donated to it. We pass by that park all the time. It has become an argument because I pretty much told my wife she embarrassed herself and should stop treating everyone like they are poor. There are several people in our community that make as much or more than we do. She just doesn't see that, and they don't flaunt it like she does. So, am I the a-hole for not telling her? Am I the a-hole for telling her she embarrassed herself? Top comments. Your wife sounds incredibly narcissistic and insufferable. You are not the a-hole, but she is. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband he can't use a pro-Trump/MAGA pharmacy? My husband has been out of work since 2019 and is on my healthcare insurance plan. He's a Republican, but not a MAGA diehard. Recently, he expressed a desire to move all of our prescriptions to a small, local pharmacy in the town we live in. I said I would not be moving my prescriptions there because they were pro-Trump and hardcore MAGA. Signs in their parking lots. The owner, who is also the pharmacist, expresses vocal support on social media. My husband got mad and said, "Fine, I'll move just mine then." And I told him as long as he was covered by my insurance, which I pay for out of my paycheck to the tune of $382/month, he would not transfer his prescriptions there either. My feeling is that he is on my insurance, which I pay for, so I get to choose which businesses I support. So, am I the a-hole? Top comments. He is absolutely MAGA. You're delusional and being lied to. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my boyfriend's bro night after he put me on the spot? So, I, 24F, have been dating my boyfriend, 26M, for about a year. He's super into his weekly bro nights with his friends, which I totally support. I usually just chill at home, do my own thing, no problem. This past Friday, we were out grabbing dinner when his friends called, asking him to come over for poker and drinks. He said sure and then, right in front of them, turned to me and went, "Babe, you got this, right?" Meaning the bill. I was caught off guard but figured, whatever, I'll cover dinner. But then he added, "And can you send me some money for drinks? I'm kinda low on cash." At this point, his friends were laughing and hyping him up like, "Yeah, take care of your man." I felt super awkward, but just said, "Nope, I think you got it." He got quiet, paid for his half, and left. Later, he texted saying I embarrassed him in front of his friends and that I made him look like he doesn't wear the pants in the relationship. I told him I'm happy to treat him sometimes, but I don't like being put on the spot, especially when it's for him to go out without me. Now he's sulking, and his friends are apparently joking about how he lost his sponsor. Am I the a-hole for standing my ground? Update: we officially just broke up. Top comments: your reaction was perfectly acceptable. Your boyfriend is trying to show his friends how much of a doormat you are. You showed all of them you're not. Not the a-hole. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife we either share our lotto winnings or we separate and I get half anyway? My wife and I are extremely fortunate to have won a decent amount of money from lotto recently. It wasn't the top prize, but it was enough to pay off our sizable mortgage and still have some left over for vacations. The mortgage was by far our biggest weekly cost, and with that gone, we could both comfortably cut our hours back at work to only school hours and spend some more time with our kids. This was always a daydream we spoke about when we bought lotto tickets. I assumed this is what we would both do. When we got the money and paid off our house, everything almost immediately turned bad. My wife started talking about how amazing it's going to be finally not having to work anymore. I was blindsided by this. Even with the mortgage gone, we would still have to work at least school hours to keep our current standard of living. And on my salary alone, things would be tight. I asked if she was serious, and she said of course. It was her ticket, and she gets to decide. This is BS, because we both bought lotto tickets before, and when we moved in together, we only bought one because two seemed like a waste of money. I tried to reason with her, say she could use some of the extra to take some unpaid leave here and there, but she needs to keep her job. When I said if I'm only working school hours, she absolutely flipped and started accusing me of being a gold digger and ruining this for her. How she deserved it after working so much of her life easy. I asked her for a pause because I was honestly afraid. She's never been like this before. The next few days, we tried to have this conversation again, but she didn't budge an inch. And when she said, "Well, it doesn't matter now because I'm putting in my notice at work," I lost it and told her I'm not going through with this. If she's not going to share the winnings, which is under both of our names, I'll divorce her and get half through the house, and therefore half the winnings on way. This started another screaming match where she continued to call me a gold digger. I'm absolutely exhausted and lost. I feel like my wife has been replaced by an imposter. I would have preferred not winning if I knew this was going to happen. Top comments. The good news is that you can afford the divorce. The bad news is that the attorneys will be going on your vacation. Next story. Am I the a-hole for flashing my mother-in-law after she told me not to breastfeed my baby in my own house? I recently had a baby and have been breastfeeding her regularly. My mother-in-law came over on short notice while I was doing chores around the house. She picked some things from our garden and chatted with me and my husband. She sat down and started watching the news on the TV. I ended up watching TV a bit later too, and I was tired. My baby started getting fussy. I pulled down my top to start nursing her. My mother-in-law swung her head to me and gave me a look. She huffed and said, "Really? Around me? I'll just get naked too and have it all hanging out, huh?" and rolled her eyes at me. This isn't the first time she's done something like this. And the last time she made a comment while she was here for the day, I just took my baby into another room. Then my husband bought me a cover, but my baby doesn't like it when I use it. This time I just had enough. I didn't have it all hanging out, and I was doing it pretty discreetly, not facing her. I was tired and wasn't really thinking. I just pulled off my top and stood up right in front of her and told her, "I'll feed my baby when I want in my house." She just stared at me and I added, "If you don't like it, you can leave." I sat back down and she said, "I can't believe this girl," and got up and left. My husband was there and afterwards said I didn't have to go that far. He said mother-in-law texted him angrily. but I was just tired in the moment, and all I was thinking about was just feeding my baby. Am I the a-hole here? Top comments. Not the a-hole. She needs to F off. She can watch the news in her own home. And if your husband doesn't get a effing spine, I'd send him packing to his mommy too. Next story. Am I the a-hole for reminding my mom she said we couldn't have a relationship with her if we didn't accept one with her husband? My mom has me 27 meters and my sister 29F with our late dad. He died when I was 10 and my sister was 12, and when I was 15 my mom got remarried. Her husband is Frank, fake name. From the very start my sister and I had issues with Frank. We have bigger and smaller issues. The two big issues were 1. He insisted that nobody mention dad in his presence. Didn't matter who we were with or where we were, it was not allowed. This included the times he tagged along when we went to see anyone from dad's side of the family. He would invite himself and then enforce this rule or he'd make us leave. Mom let this happen. Even on dad's anniversary or birthday, we couldn't talk about him if Frank was around, and that included asking mom if she wanted to come to the grave with us. Frank actually yelled at my sister during her graduation dinner because she had mentioned dad in her speech. 2. He inserted himself deeply into the relationship with our dad's side of the family. We could visit anyone on mom's side without issue. He didn't even care if we said anything to him. But the second it was someone from dad's side, and he found out we only mentioned it to mom, he would scold us and insist we needed to ask his permission to see them. Then he'd tag along frequently and invite himself to see them too. This went for a lot of stuff. Mom had already stopped coming with us before she even met Frank. But he insisted on being there, and if my sister or I said we didn't want him to come, then he told us we couldn't go. If whoever we went to see didn't want Frank inside the house, he'd say then we weren't allowed inside either. Once my sister moved out, he was pissed that she spent more time with dad's side, and he tried to tell her what to do still. She was having none of it. My sister and I talked to mom about all our issues with Frank, and we told her we didn't want a relationship with him. She always told us we needed to have one with him to have one with her. We took her at her word, and my sister stopped talking to her, and once I moved out, so did I. We stopped going to see her or spending holidays with her and Frank. We didn't invite her over or initiate any contact. She brought it up a few times how we were bad at maintaining the relationship, and we told her we weren't. We just weren't maintaining it, but she ignored us. She tried to come and see us a few times. We told her no Frank, so she never came. We let her birthday pass without any acknowledgement, and when she'd tell us about Frank's birthdays, we'd work to forget the date. A few weeks ago, I got engaged. I didn't tell my mom or ask anyone else to, but the news got to her. She was upset. She didn't hear it from me, and upset I said no to he throwing an engagement party for us. She never even met my fiancé, which was something else that upset her. She asked how she's supposed to meet her for the first time at the wedding, and I told her she's not supposed to. I said she won't be invited. My mom did not expect that at all, and she asked me why. I told her Frank is not welcome, and she made it perfectly clear she won't come. I reminded her that she said we can't have a relationship with her if we won't have one with Frank, and I told her it would be over my dead body that I have a relationship with him. My mom said we were supposed to love her enough to accept Frank, and I told her I do not have to have a relationship with the man who would kick up a fuss over my dad being mentioned in his presence, and who tried to control the relationship I had with my family. I reminded her dad is still my dad, and I'd find a way to incorporate his memory into the wedding. I asked her if Frank would tolerate that, or if he'd start yelling like at my sister's graduation. She told me she doesn't want to lose both her kids, and she loves us. I told her we love her, but we're not willing to accept that man she calls a husband. Then she told me I was being so unfair, and when she said what she did, we could have talked about it more. That reminding her like this wasn't right. I said this was the consequences of her actions. I told her I could live with the consequences of not accepting Frank, that I can sleep fine at night knowing our relationship is what it is, and isn't my problem if she can't do the same. Now she's upset and angry, and apparently I'm the bad guy in her eyes. Am I the a-hole? Top comments. Your mom made her choice. Now she's facing the consequences. Stay firm. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share, and subscribe the channel HB Reddit Stories.